Okay, I'm live. Welcome back. I'm Dan. This is Confessions of a Truther in 2026, which we're in now. And it's been a while since I've been on YouTube on this channel, but I just wanted to give a little update on where I'm at. And with this channel, I guess I'm using it as a sounding board for some of my thoughts, because I've learned so much on YouTube from other people, and I figured after doing this for 20 years, being mostly a spectator, but I figured I would come on here and share what I can from my perspective. So what I wanted to talk about tonight, if you'll bear with me, is just where I'm at right now as a truther. So it is 2026, and I'd say I've been a quote unquote truther since 2000, probably around 2007, 2008, I guess you might call it, was when I kind of stumbled upon like 9/11 for engineers and architects for 9/11 truth. Some other videos like Loose Change and I don't know, some Alex Jones video or something like that. But so I did listen to Alex Jones for a while, couple of years. But it did kind of mess with my life, being sucked up into kind of truth or drama. And anyways, I don't want to really contribute to that if I can help it, the drama that is. But nevertheless, there are a lot of things. Like here we are, 2026, and we're way past 9/11, but we can see some of the fruits of everything that truly happened since then. And now we're past COVID, and that was, I believe was like basically Agenda 2020 being implemented. Which, when I became a truther, Agenda 2020 was the looming threat that was ahead. Alex Jones talked about that coming, and others did as well. Because I don't really want to say Alex Jones is the tip of the spear, even though he tries to present himself that way. But so, where are we at now? We're at 2026. We've got 4 more years until Agenda 2030. But we're already seeing crazy things going on. We're already we've already gone very far into this, whatever this is, this dystopian engineered reality, this experiment with technology that we're in. Now we're all online. Now millennials, of which I am one, I'm just turned 40 in 2025, and I'll be turning 41 this year, in April. but um, knowing how, based on what I've seen happen over the last like close to 20 years of, when I say truther, I mean basically this new, what we would call a community, I guess, people who have posted and found and shared YouTube videos or other videos, websites, whatever. It's an online phenomenon, so um, that I kind of came into in my early to mid 20s, and wow, now here we are already, and I'm thankful to be here and have survived this long to tell about it, but we're in the middle of it all right now, and the thing is that I'm glad to have been exposed to gone through the experience I have, because um, and kind of gone through the knowledge experiment, the learning experiment of being a truther on a YouTube truther or whatever, because for some reasons, because it helps me to understand, by understanding where we've been and what was covered up and what was engineered, conspiracies, secret plannings, secret plannings for society at large. That's a conspiracy, and um, so yeah, I mean now we're, there's always been conspiracies going on, conspirings, and I think where we can see today, it's happening right now. So like I'm seeing a lot in the news that we've got data centers. Um, People are trying to build data centers, these companies all over farmland areas and things like that, communities. And that money's got to be coming from somewhere. That investment is coming, top down. It's coming from the government, you know, or ultimately, yeah, it's spending from the government to different corporations, private corporations, whatever, to build the infrastructure to um, track and trace and monitor everybody, and to be the ones who control that and who can use that data, sell that data to whoever they want. They can be the data brokers, which is what they already are, but through Google and Facebook and whatever else, cookies on your phone. But with the data centers thing, I should say, like the hyperscale data centers is a whole new thing than just storing, the basic data. It's doing a lot more, combining all that data and creating a more detailed and live kind of a real live time overlay um, on whoever, which again, that's already, the data's already been being collected and all that, but at least, yeah, it's going to end up being what it's going to end up being. Like, there's clearly a push to do this, though, and is it good for the environment? No, it doesn't look like it. And is it going to be good for the economy and everything? The average person, probably not. So, it's just more of the same. Um, meanwhile, we've got all these political distractions that we've had for, we've got the never-ending drama of Trump that's been going on for however many years now, like a decade. And now the thing is that, yeah. Anyway, um, now it's just the latest thing, and but uh, if you haven't been following that narrative, the narratives that have been being put forth, and caught them in their lies and the deceptions along the way, then you're not really going to be able to catch the new deceptions and the new things that are coming your way. And so, you know, uh, it's important to, not just to have the right information, but also to know what your place is with that information and what to do with that information. Um, Truth, let's say. Um, and um, where do I want to go with this? I mean, there's a narrative that's gone on, and bits and pieces of it. The thing is that there's been a lot of not truth, and so part of the truther movement has been about uncovering falsities, um, like the fake story about how 9/11, how the buildings fell, and um, other events. Some events may be real events. Other events could be staged events that are performed by what truthers have termed crisis actors, um, and um, and those events, they're completely staged, and there's videos of all this of I'm trying to remember, like doing drills, basically. People doing drills, and they have crisis actors that play all different roles within the scene, I guess, the stage that's set, and it's complete with props and different players, bystanders, even filmers are controlled as well, and footage is controlled, and these things can be used to capture an audience, the audience being the people at large, political, their political messages that are sent out, on the radio waves, the politics, um, the internets. But um, yeah. Uh, so where we're at, you know, we got to be careful what we believe, and um, where our emotions are, and our energy is focused, um, because this, like, I've been learning how to view and how to see these things, like, that are happening, and from like a biblical spiritual perspective. um, there is like a lot of witchcraft going on, um, and I think people don't even necessarily realize it or know what it really is. Like it's not like necessarily a magical thing, but it's a spiritual thing. Like it's an internal mental thing that uh, you know, if people can create a story, let's say like somebody can brew a story, and they're mixing in the different ingredients of the narrative, let's say, that um, those ingredients will create just the right effect on the on the target, let's say. And so that's like witchcraft, because it is you're creating something that is artificial, that is um, intended to like seduce or to like drug the mind and the emotions, the affections of a person, of people, and to drive them to your service, essentially. Because once the audience, let's say, is captivated, um, then they are, um, susceptible to, be driven to, your a person's command. That's, it's not just another way of saying like the Hegelian dialectic idea, like, and that's another thing that's brought up a lot of times in truther um, uh, language, is the Hegelian dialectic, which I think is Joseph Hegel or something like that. Was the guy who came up with this idea that essentially that you can control people by or accomplish change, societal change, by creating a problem and then giving the people a problem that is going to generate the type of reaction that will drive the people to accept a solution that is the solution that is you're ready to feed them, because that was your whole intent and goal in the first place, was to get um, change, you know, to um, to move the society and move the people in another direction, um, and there's just millions of examples. Of course, this happens on a day-to-day basis, really, I believe, because people are always, you know, uh, people are often using their words to um, get other people to, to get what they want from other people. And sometimes that involves deception, um, uh, you know, coercion, different things. Um, but anyways, what I'm seeing right now is we're it's almost like just this hot, this heat is building up. They're trying to build this heat up. Ironically, like we're in the middle of this like really cold right now, but they're trying to generate heat. And what I've seen basically is that the right, let's call it the right, the people who are into right wing politics, let's say, the right wing of politics, and defending that side. Um, they've been kind of captivated by the Charlie Kirk incident, um, by um, before that it was the Trump incident, um, which, let me just state that, and this is my opinion. I don't know I don't know anything, but what I see and what I think, and but I personally think that there's something fishy about both the President Trump assassination attempt, and as well as the Charlie Kirk, um, the alleged Charlie Kirk assassination. Um, I think that both of those events together represent a taking control, in a, how do you say, like a hardening, like a emboldening, like you know, entrenching of the the right, let's say, as a group or whatever, whoever they can appeal to, that is the right, let's say, you know, and and now it seemed like, after the Trump thing, I think the ear thing, I think, whether there was a bullet or not a bullet, whatever, I didn't see what looked like to me like a wound on his ear. Um, I took screenshots on my phone of like the video of it at the time. Yeah, I took I like zoomed in, like, with my fingers, you can kind of like zoom in, like I pause the video, zoom in, and like right on the ear, you know, and then you know, screenshot that, and then I got a screenshot of when it happened. And there was like streaks of blood, what looked like blood, but it could be ketchup or something. But um, and then I took a screenshot. Then the next time he was seen, I think in public, which was like at like a week later or something, they held this big event. I think it was the Republican National Convention or something like that. It was like a week later, and like Kid Rock was there and performed, and so did like Hulk Hogan was there and ripped his shirt off and had like a Trump shirt, and um, you had Jeff Bezos, who's the Amazon owner. You had Elon Musk, who's the Tesla guy, and all that. We all know who that is. And then we had Mark Zuckerberg, and then like who are the other that Chat G, he might not have been there, but anyway, but there was like all those guys were front row seat, black suit and tie, all sitting together, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, they're for Trump and everything else too, and like, and it's just the whole thing, just, you don't, like, everyone just came out the woodwork for him, and anyway, it seemed very staged to me, like it was just a big you know yeah, it just seemed very I don't know. But again, just opinions, and or just thoughts or ideas, possibly. um could be wrong though, but and I'd love to be proven wrong. I just see the proof, but anyway, but it's too late, because it's too late. But anyways, then he had the little napkin on his ear and took a shot of that. Didn't look right. But then like a week after that, he was like seen without the napkin, and you can't see anything. But anyways, I gone too far down that rabbit trail. The point is that you see like the effect that had is he went instantly from all the media saying, we can't have him again. He's too crazy and everything else, and all this. And we went from that to the entire Republican Party people at the time stepping down and saying they were behind Trump. Everyone just say they're behind Trump. So it's just crazy. People just, they went, yeah, I mean, they bought it. So, but the thing is, if you're going to buy that, then you're going to have to buy the next thing they're going to sell you, which was the Charlie Kirk incident. At least that's the last most recent big thing. And I mean, I personally have seen like a lot of people posting videos on Facebook and on YouTube and everywhere. And it's amazing the algorithm lets this stuff through anymore, but which I'm glad it does. But yeah, but like that just seems like everybody on the Turning Point, staff and Charlie's people, whatever. It's like all of them knew. Seems like they would have had to all have known, the security team and everything. And nobody's asking questions like, I mean, they pretend like they are asking questions, blah blah blah. But it just seems to me like, and I think that the Candace Owens was running the counter narrative. She was trying to represent the skeptics, but she's part of them, and she's admitted it on there. You know that she's a founding Mason and all this of the Turning Point, blah blah blah. But anyway, it's and she has her audience captive. Candace does, and hanging on, trying to get all their info from her, and she's there to keep you from coming to the right conclusions, which or asking the right questions, I guess, or looking deeper. But from everything I've seen, I think that probably Charlie did not die, or at least like that was not an assassination exactly. But I think that was probably um, faked somehow. People have talked about, I'm not saying I know how exactly. I know one guy, I forget who Terry, Terry Wright Richter was like saying that at one point he was saying that, or suggesting that potentially there was like a hologram machine or something like that behind him, and they were projecting a hologram of him getting shot. I don't, and I think it was an interesting theory, certainly, but it didn't hold water ultimately. Anyway, so I did see only one video where it actually showed like blood, and that video has since I think has been like scrubbed from the internet, or it's not. I don't know if it's easy to find anymore. And it's possible that could have been that one video shot angle could have been like videotape or camera tape by somebody who was part of the conspiracy and immediately uh, like use AI or something to create that blood, or it was just a squib. It could have been a squib potentially, but people have talked about how there seems to be a lack of blood in this event. If there seems to be a lack of blood on the hands of the people who were carrying him, lack of blood at the scene, and like from the scene to the vehicle that they went away in, there was lack of blood. So, and that seems to be like a telltale sign in all of these events, is that all of the events that are staged, pretty much the common denominator seems to be a lack of blood. Yeah, blood anomalies. So just saying that, so that maybe that's like a piece of advice that I could give to somebody or people who are maybe just encountering some of this information for the first time. Um, that that's a tip. And again, I can't really show you. I mean, maybe I can sometime show that on, put some video up on my screen about it, but I don't know. I try not to, like, everyone else has already done the analyzation. There's a few YouTube channels I've watched. One is called Brush Junkie, and she has done a lot of research on it. I'm not sure if she comes to the same conclusions that it was all staged, but at least part of it. And then there's also, of course, the Healthy American, Peggy Hall, and she does some great analysis on a lot of different events and things. And then there is, who else? There's this guy, West Texas is the best Texas, and I think that guy, I haven't checked out his latest streams, but he seems like he was calling this whole thing a hoax as well. But but that was that incident. We're kind of past that now. I think everybody knows at this point, that the wife is suspect. So, I mean, that kind of just gives away the whole thing. So, as far as, I'm concerned, but it's not really worth putting any more attention to, other than, like, to take, I'm not going to support, an organization like that, of course. Anyway, I don't support organizations generally, for the most part, but unless they're truly independent. And I think they're on the right track. But anyways, here we are now, and we've got it's very cold. We've got people protesting ice, protesting ice. Kind of weird. Ice is out in the streets, the icy streets. And but yeah, people are going out protesting in the cold. Does that mean that we're going to see, we're going to have a hot summer? I don't know. Or is it going to be a cold summer? We'll see. But but whatever's coming, it is the Lord's. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, and He'll direct this whole thing to its proper end ultimately. But that being the case, it causes me to causes us to question, where are we focused? You know what I mean? And what is this thing coming to an end? Ultimately, it's coming to the Lord to return to bring His people to raise and bring His people to a new world without evil and without decay. And looking forward to that. I want to be a part of that. And but it causes me to question things in this world. Like sometimes I've you know um, I think I've gotten too caught up in all this stuff going on many times, but um, maybe I cared too much about every detail, knowing every detail what's happening, but nevertheless, it's ultimately about mercy, like, and grace, like, because you know me personally, just having lived through this, and mostly this is this YouTube thing is new for me, and this is like one of my first coming outs, confessions, whatever. But for a lot of my life, as a truther, I just had to live with keeping things to myself. Um, or in some cases, when I do bring stuff up, it's either gets in arguments, or people get mad, or people get upset, and that's understandable. Um, it's understandable because it is upsetting, but to find out that what you believe was not true and that you don't know it's true, but but ultimately I found peace just in believing in the grace of God and in the blood of Jesus Christ, and that He um, cleanses us from our sins, those who believe in Him, and that um, that we have a hope in that, because there's certainly no hope in this world getting better from what I can see. I know a lot of people are really invested in that, in something, preserving this world and some aspect of it, but um, and I personally do too. I mean, I there's, I mean, that's just kind of part of being in the flesh, and it's not all bad um, to do. I mean, it's good actually to do what you're to take on and fulfill the responsibilities that we've been personally given um, by God in our roles in our personal lives. That we all have to know what that is for ourselves, because everybody's different and different. People are different. Some are the same. Some ways we're the same. Some ways we're not. But we have different life stages and different relationships, personal relationships, and but ultimately, being true to what we believe, and what is true, being true to what is true, and that's a good thing. Um, but ultimately, even doing that, it's not. It is the grace of God alone, that um, the grace of God in Jesus Christ, the the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, that truly forgives and brings life, gives new life. It gives us the promise of new life. An everlasting life, um, where evil will no longer be. And until that day, we remain, and we need wisdom. We need wisdom, but and for what we have presently, but ultimately beyond that, beyond wisdom, it's the peace, like the love of God, the peace of Christ that surpasses all things, like that is our life. Because otherwise we would be condemned, every one of us. And if we would be condemned, then ultimately, everyone is on equal ground. As far as needing the grace of God and the forgiveness of God for life to live. So, those are just some thoughts that I had, and I just wanted to do this live because really I don't, you know, I've got a lot of things in my mind and I didn't really know how to say it, and I don't really have the time to edit it and to craft it into some kind of, some perfect video, but I'd like to be able to do that maybe sometime, but this is what I got for now. So I hope it was helpful for somebody, and their questions, um, and let me know. And hey, bro, good to see you. And I'm just reading your comments here. Um, yeah, you go. Yeah, a lot of good comments, bro. But yeah, this one here, Luke 8:17. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hidden that shall not be known and come abroad. And I think there's some other verses that talk about Bible verses that Jesus says when he talks about what you've heard, like in secret, will be shouted on the rooftops, something like that. And that's good stuff because and ultimately, I mean, um, yeah, I'm just thankful for it all. But you know, I'm thankful that I'm just thankful for God, for the Lord. Um, but yeah, we're living in dark times. We got you know, it has been a while. Yeah, you did leave a ton of comments. Um, oh yeah, and you said you didn't know that about Candace Owens. Yeah, yeah. So, and another person who's been kind of running controlled opposition on lately on the right is also what's his name? Um, I'm drawing a blank right now. It's a guy who gets really he's very impassioned, gets he says things that are really provocative. Uh, mm, he was hanging out with see the guy. I think he was hanging out with Kanye West or something like that. Um, going to Trump dinner with Kanye West or something like that, and he's also hanging out with I don't even remember anymore. But anyways, but that guy is also, if you know who I'm talking about, um, he's definitely controlled opposition as well. And you don't necessarily have to be like directly on somebody, some George Soros paycheck or something like that, like directly. Like I think a lot of this ends up being like people end up becoming shills of because of the allure the allure of being the character, whatever that they are in the story, and like ramping it up a notch and like playing sides, and maybe they do have back deals, where they make personal deals with other creators, let's say, or people, whatever, and you know they make deals where they'll talk about certain things or not talk about other things, or steer a conversation in a certain direction that's beneficial for somebody else. Yeah, Nick Fuentes, exactly. Yep, you got it. Yeah, and I think he's really being an agitator, and all around is an agitator. Um, you know, and I don't know who's behind him, if but I think he's trolling to a certain extent. I think he's grifting to another extent, and then also controlled opposition. But along with Alex Jones, um, and others. So I think that yeah, the truther community, like there's a few, like I found, I just named a few earlier. Peggy Hall, Brush Junkie, West Texas. But even who knows? Like you have to always be careful who you're listening to, and like you know especially them when they get more extreme, and like they're trying to incite action from people. And I'm seeing that kind of going on with the quote unquote left side now. That's what I want to get to. It took me forever to get to. But that brings us to present day. Like I said, the ICE thing, the protests. There's kind of power being generated on the left now. Like they've been kind of consolidating power on the right. Now we're kind of like building up an equal and force on the opposite side to for something. I don't know I don't know where this goes ultimately. I don't know, but I will know when we get there. And, and so that's where we are now. Um, yeah. And this all could be just intended to ultimately distract us all from everything that came before. That's, hogwash that, they got to get us to forget and move on to the next thing. So that's where we are at. So does it look bleak? Yes. And it's definitely it should be like maybe used as a motivating factor to not trust, not just being so trustful of people when they try to get you emotionally invested into some movement or thing. But also, I just moved and I forgot what I was saying. But anyways, yeah, yeah, the end, or Armageddon. That's the end. Well, Lord have mercy. Well, thanks for listening tonight, and I guess I'll continue to stay updated on, try and update on the current events next time something happens. But um, otherwise, I hope everyone, I hope you do the best you can with in the circumstances that you're in, and that I would say, like, um, be informed, but don't let it all be the main thing, because um, politics, events, and things like that isn't living. You can't live off of it. It's kind of like junk food. You can't live off of just eating sugar and stuff. It's not substance. And so, um, yeah, I guess that's all I have for tonight. So I'll see you guys next time. And Dan signing out. Good to see you, Bro Tito.